There has now been two school shootings this week. First in Arlington, Texas. We'll give the very latest just a few minutes as they go to court. Now in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, not Littleton, Denver. 2 administrators were shot. Here's the very latest.
The nation's latest school shooting. This one at a Denver high school left 2 staff members injured, including one who was taken into surgery with life-threatening injuries. Authorities say the suspect is a student who remains at large tonight and is considered armed and dangerous. The school has canceled classes for the rest of the week. Reporter Alan Janae of our CBS Denver station will start us off tonight from outside the school. Good evening, Alan.
Good evening, Nora. This evening on the campus of this city high school, sadness and anger. This is a school district that did away with school resource officers in the aftermath of the George Floyd killing. But today, some parents were saying, bring them back.
Suspect is not in the school, but still on the loose.
Tonight, the manhunt continues for 17-year-old Austin Lyle, the student who police say opened fire on 2 administrators.
We are looking for the suspect. We will find that suspect, and we will hold that suspect accountable.
Authorities say the shooting happened just before 10 this morning inside Denver's East High School during a mandatory search of the student because of past behavior. One victim is in critical condition, undergoing surgery. Another is stable and talking, police said.
Paramedics were in the building when the shooting occurred, and they were able to immediately begin to administer support and treatment to the individuals who were wounded, and that, I think, will play a huge role in their ultimate recovery.
East High's more than 2,500 students and staff were immediately placed on lockdown. Soon after, shaken parents waited to pick up their children.
Why does it take for this to keep happening over and over and over again for us to finally do something?
There have been more than 100 school shootings, including on college campuses, this academic year alone.
There's always a bomb threat. There's always somebody threatening to come shoot up the school. There's always something where we're on lockdown.
Just last month, a student at the same school was shot and killed while sitting in a car outside the building, prompting a student walkout and march to the Colorado State Capitol demanding stricter safety rules.
I'm not really sad or hurt by it because it's so normal at this point.
Today, Denver's police chief said he will have 2 officers back on campus when school resumes. The superintendent added to that, saying he wants officers on the campus of every high school. Nora?
Alan Janae, thank you.
Okay. Common sense alert. If you got rid of school resource officers because of George Floyd killing, you need to bring, because of that George Floyd killing, you need to bring them back. Don't be sitting there saying, oh, because of the George Floyd killing, we're not going to be able to have any more school resource officers. Give me a break. Without those, we wouldn't have a safer school. Bring those back. That way the parents can be great, can be happy. Every parent can be happy. Now let's go to Arlington. There's the very latest that happened. The shooter is now in court. Take a look.
This is 16-year-old Jayshawn Poirier, who did not survive a shooting Monday morning at school. Arlington police rushed to Lamar High School around 6:55 a.m. Officers found Jayshawn outside the school and eventually arrested a 15-year-old classmate. The suspect attended a detention hearing Tuesday afternoon. We blurred the teen's father, standing in front of Juvenile Court Judge Alex Kim, who read through the charging documents.
Firing towards the group at 6:55:01. Archery risking scattering at 6:55 and 4 seconds.
Arlington PD learned after the shooting, a parent rushed a 16-year-old girl to the hospital. Shrapnel from the gunfire struck her in the face and neck. Officers say the teen suspect carried a lone gun and backpack and took off running before they caught him outside the school. Juvenile defense attorney Lisa Herrick represents the suspect.
He is handling it. He's doing his best. This was a very tragic situation, and that's not lost on any of us.
The judge told the teenager for his own safety and the community's safety, he would not be released to his father, but detained.
We ask, though, that everyone please hold off on judging this young man until we have an opportunity to share his story and what we have learned and will learn about him.
Classes will resume Wednesday at Lamar High School. Counselors will be on hand for students and teachers grieving Jayshon's death. In Arlington, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
It certainly won't be easy going back to school after losing a classmate in that way. People are going to start gathering for a prayer vigil in the next couple hours. It starts at 7 o'clock at the United Methodist Church in Arlington. Students and teachers at Lamar High School and Mansfield ISD are going to wear blue and gold tomorrow to show their support for the victims.
But we've all lost common sense when it came to this. I mean, it's great that they're going back to school. They went back to school today, but what's not struck a chord throughout all this is the common sense of basically searching a weapon. So that's the very latest. We'll keep you posted what's been going on. What's been going on. Still ahead. Killer fact. We're going to tell you about the calories from donuts to ice cream to cereal. But next, we're going to hear the conclusion to bring her children home. You will see the dramatic conclusion when the children, when they find the 4 lost kids. Will they go back to America or stay with the father? Also, the father tells his side of the story. Was there sexual abuse after Vivian left the children of God? Tom Joe continues. Stay with us. On Monday, I brought you the story of Vivian Shalander, who was a member of a group called the Children of God. It was all started by Moses David Berg. In the recordings, he said, "I practice what I preach, and I preach such boys and girls, hallelujah!" From the Mo letters. And we also heard about flirty fishing. It stopped because of the spread of AIDS. Actually, watch part 1, because in case you missed it, in case you want to catch up, watch part 1. But, to conclude the story, these are the questions that remains. Will the children go back to America? Will they stay with their father? Or will the children not be there or somewhere else? Judge for yourself as you'll see the children make the decision because of the court papers. You will also hear Richard Schlanger's side of the story. Was there sexual abuse in the home? Here again, Tom Jarrell.
Thursday, January 28th, 1988. It's just before dawn in Bangkok, Thailand. While the Buddhist monks receive their morning meal, across town, Vivian Shalander prepares for the biggest day of her life. After 3.5 years of separation from her children, today she will either rescue them from a cult or perhaps lose them forever. It's a day filled with awesome possibilities.
I'm very nervous. I just feel like the bottom's going to fall out if something doesn't go my way.
By 8 a.m. at the immigration office, everyone's in place. Mike is stationed inside with the officials. Scott remains outside, and Vivian is hidden in this van in the parking lot. She sits behind tinted windows so she can see out, but Richard, should he appear, will not be able to see in. Now it's decision time. Mike slips away from his post to press Vivian for an answer to her excruciating dilemma. What should be the plan of action if Richard does come in, but with only 1 or 2 of the children?
I don't know what to do. Tell me, Mike. Give me advice.
I think we should just take the child or children that come in with them and take the information and hit the streets today and find the other ones.
I see. Okay.
Reluctantly, she tells Mike to get back as many of the children as he can. even if it's not all 4 of them. Mike then returns to the immigration office while Vivian keeps her vigil. Hours are passing. 11 o'clock. 12 noon comes and goes, and there's no sign of Richard Schillander.
I'm really hoping that this all really isn't a waste, and I hope in the ultimate end that it's going to be fruitful. It's going to be worth it all.
More time slips away. The immigration office closes at 4:30, only a few hours away. Vivian keeps her eyes riveted to the entrance of the building, hoping against hope. Unbelievably, at 3 p.m., Richard appears without the children. He's quickly sent to the immigration officials.
What happened? What happened? How am I? They told me to go downstairs. Look out.
Mike makes a trip to the van to let Vivian know what's going on.
They're going to require him to tell where exactly he lives. They're going to make him take the Thai immigration people to the house and show him where they're living so they can verify the address and the children's presence. Now it's a waiting game. We're just going to have to wait and see and hope everything goes well.
Within minutes, the immigration official orders Richard to take him to the cult home on the outskirts of Bangkok. Mike goes along so he can see for himself if the children are really there. But he leaves strict instructions that Vivian and Scott are to remain in the van. At this point in the game, they're winging it. Every step is unpredictable. For the moment, Vivian's fears about seeing her children outweigh the excitement.
I guess I'm going to be a little bit afraid that they might reject me. I'm afraid that it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to turn their hearts to their mother.
Scott and Vivian wait in the van for what seems like an eternity. The immigration office closes and the parking lot begins to empty. They have no idea what's happening. But then a man with a message arrives.
900343. Yes. Okay, call that number. Call. Telephone. Yes, yes. That number. Mr. Avalon. I will call.
Moments later, Scott returns with big news.
Okay, just relax, okay? Just relax. They've already got the children. They have the children. They're at the Ambassador Hotel. We're on our way. Okay, just relax.
I think they only have 2.
I don't know. They said the children. I really don't know right now.
Vivian and Scott quickly make their way along the Bangkok highways. Little do they know that Mike has corralled the kids into a van and is holding the father at bay with a fistful of U.S. legal papers, not necessarily valid in Thailand. Finally, Vivian and Scott arrive at the Ambassador Hotel. Tense, overwhelmed, Vivian approaches her children, all 4 of them.
Hi, kids. It's okay.
Who is this?
Mama loves you, and you guys don't worry. I'm your mother.
Their father, Richard, and his common-law wife watch stunned as Vivian boldly moves in to take the children.
I'm going to take you guys home with me for a while. All right, you go away.
Who do you guys love?
You go away. They love the Lord, okay?
Who is this, you guys? Do we know her? Did she leave you 4 years ago?
You kids don't worry. You trust me.
Who do you want to stay with?
The children don't want to go. They consider their mother an enemy because she left the cult.
I don't want to go back up there. They want to see you doing that. Where are the papers?
Let's go, you guys. We're staying here.
No, you're not. You kids are not going anywhere. You have a copy.
He has it.
He has to take them or whatever.
These are all on it for him?
Well, some of them are. They don't need more time with him at all. He's going to deceive you the same as he's deceived you all along. You need to go. Who's going to be with the children?
You and Scott.
Daddy, will we see you again?
What's your favorite? Okay, let's pray. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
That we'll pray. I'll pray with you, Richard. You go away. I know the Lord. I will. I pray with them. You go away. I will pray with the children. Lord, in Jesus' name, Lord, I ask you to take the fear away from these children who are...
No, you're not. You're not going. You're not going with us. Go. Go. Let's go. She has legal custody. Let's go.
Come on, that is not your day. She did him for 4 years. Come on. I said, that is not bad, you know that. You go away.
into Bangkok's rush hour traffic to a hotel where they can hide for the night, not knowing how Richard or the cult might react next. Mike immediately begins to make arrangements to get out of the country as soon as possible. Down the hall, the kids seem surprisingly calm, playing games with two of Vivian's friends who are here to help. For Vivian, who's taking her first delicate steps to rekindle the ties with her children, this is a day beyond belief.
I'm just totally shocked and overwhelmed. I had no idea I was going to be sitting with those children tonight. It's a miraculous day.
But beneath this harmonious picture, these kids are grappling with some of their deepest emotions.
I really miss my daddy, and
This is Tito.
I don't want him to feel lonely in Thailand.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see my mommy again. I'm really glad I can spend some time with her again too.
April.
I'd like to stay in Thailand. That's what I want to do. But I won't provide it if I have to go to America.
Caleb.
I'd rather stay in Thailand.
John.
Well, I feel as if it was the worst day in my life. And I don't exactly appreciate my mom coming back at a time like this.
Outside the room, a guard is posted around the clock. As long as the children remain in Bangkok, Mike fears they're vulnerable to being snatched back by the children of God and their father, Richard.
And you say, am I going to get them back? I think I will. I think that the Lord is going to touch somebody's heart, and they're going to win someone's heart. And he's going to do a miracle.
The things are just, they're really risky. Yes, they are. We need to go. We need to get out.
Monday, February 1st. After 2 days of hassling with red tape, they're free to go. If they don't hurry, they'll miss the last flight out for the day.
Couldn't have strung this whole thing out any farther. And we're down to absolutely seconds right now.
Tito seems lost in his thoughts perhaps of his father and of the sudden transformation his life is going through. That transformation escalates as they take off on Thai Air Flight 661 at 3:45 p.m. As they speed through over 8,000 miles of airspace, people on the other side of the world in Sioux Falls are preparing for their arrival.
What was your first response when you learned Vivian had the children and she'd be coming back? Hallelujah. First response. Second response. Now the work begins.
The work is underway. Volunteer Barbara Cumble is selecting coats for the kids.
This one will fit Tito. A cream of mushroom is a good hot dish.
Other volunteers shop for groceries they'll take here to Vivian's new home, a 4-bedroom low-income townhouse arranged for by church members. For Yancha, Vivian's youngest, who's been separated from his mother now for weeks, this is a happy time.
Be sure you bring it tomorrow, won't you, to the airplane?
Tuesday, February 2nd. There's a feeling of celebration at the airport. As soon as the plane does touch down, Yancha is glued to the window, waiting for his mother to appear. The crowd watches with him with intense anticipation.
Look, John, look, there's your mom in the green sweater. See her?
Vivian is astounded to be back in Sioux Falls with the children she thought she had lost forever.
It just shows me they're my children. They're my children. They're part of my flesh. They're part of me. And that's something no one could ever take away from me.
The children seem to be enjoying all the fuss and festivities swirling about them. But there are moments when their deep bitterness emerges.
If your mom comes and takes you away from your dad by force, and brings you to a country you don't even like, then what are you supposed to feel like?
As she walks into the bitter cold, Vivian is wondering exactly what it will take for her children to make the monumental adjustment that's before them. It's too early to know.
Ready, go!
Tuesday, February 16th, 2 weeks after their arrival in Sioux Falls, we visit the Shalanda family to see how they're doing. They look like they're having a great time.
Hey, we're gonna push. Let's go.
But beneath this sparkle, there's serious trouble. The kids still speak adamantly of their wish to return to the children of God. They refuse to go to school because they say it's against the cult's doctrine. And they fight frequently with their mother, most often because she no longer believes in the cult leader, Moses David Berg.
When she questions what he says, where does that leave her?
That leaves her on the junk pile.
Junk pile?
Yes.
These children, devoted to the cult, know all about its practices, including the religious prostitution, which until last year was advocated by Berg to win new disciples.
John, in terms of flirty fishing, do you think it works? Is it a good idea?
Yeah, so I've heard of about 100 of our converts were won over flirty fishing.
That's one of the only ways to get into their heart and to really show them the real love of God was to get in bed with them and to really share their hearts with them.
And April, do you think as you got older you would have been asked to do flirty fishing?
Of course not. You volunteer to.
And would you do it?
Of course.
To bring someone in, to make another believer, it's worth it to you?
Yes.
Of course, not only did April's religious leader advocate this practice, so does her own father.
Now, what about flirty fishing?
Yeah.
Tell me about flirty fishing.
Well, it's nothing new. It's something that God has been trying to get his love across to men for thousands of years. And we feel that if manufacturers of automobiles and motorcycles can use sex as advertising, then why can't God use sex? Then what's wrong with sex?
2020 also asked Richard about My Little Fish. That's the chapter in the cult publication which shows children in sexual poses with each other and with adults.
It's just a piece of educational material, and we've learned many things through the years of child care, taking care of children. It's actually fun to watch a child in this case experience life.
Dr. Margaret Singer is a psychologist and cult expert.
How does that strike you as a statement from a father?
What he was saying, experience life, shows a mother orally copulating a little boy, and that's his opinion about what would usually in the United States be regarded as sexual abuse of a child.
Richard says there's never been any sexual abuse of children in his home.
It's something that we forbid in our homes. It's something that has never been practiced nor advocated, and I stand here before you telling the truth.
The children do say they've never had any sexual experiences with adults or other children, but they become extremely agitated when we ask them about Moses David Berg's teachings on sex.
My Little Fish. Now, your father described that as a routine publication. That entails graphic sex.
Who had this? I don't have any sex. They're just kissing and hugging in bed. That's not sex.
April is very upset that 2020's obtained a copy of My Little Fish. Ex-members tell us the cult leaders say it should be kept secret.
If you show it to other people, they don't understand. That stuff's not supposed to be publicized. So many people think sex is wrong. So many people hate us. But we're just telling them the truth. We're just telling them it's not wrong. We're just telling them that there's nothing wrong with it. And here come these publicizers showing them to everybody, making everybody think it's wrong.
This is printed and circulated, though.
Well, why do you need it? You don't need it.
It's not a private doc. It's printed and widely circulated around the world.
You're not supposed to have it.
What exactly will it take for the children to recover from a lifetime of cult indoctrination? Psychologists 2020 talked to say these kids urgently need to be deprogrammed, and if they can get the help they need, they can make a good adjustment. But deprogramming will cost a lot of money which Vivian does not have, but hopes to one day get. Just a few weeks ago, we visited the family again and found the kids have made some adjustments. They've made new friends and learned to play baseball. All 4 of them did start school back in March, but only 3 of them completed the year. John dropped out after 2 weeks because he felt the school would destroy him. All of the kids, nearly 6 months after arriving in Sioux Falls, say they continue to believe in the teachings of Moses David Berg and the children of God. And they want very much to return to Thailand and to their father. So for now, it's clear that the ordeal is still not over. And yet, Vivian tells us she feels good these days.
Before I had the children, I really had an ache in my heart. Well, I just don't have that ache anymore. I have a contentment there. I mean, I'm happy. How do you explain it? You've been defeated in life. Something has taken you and controlled you, and you've overcome that.
Now, we have to remember, these kids were born into this cult. born in this cult. It takes a lot of years to get out of this cult, so we don't know how they're doing. But if there was an update show, we would do so. Coming up soon in the broadcast, sometime this week or Saturday, we're going to talk about one of the other person who was in the Children of God. His name is Ricky Rodriguez. You will see that videotape happening of when he tried to kill himself. It's very disturbing to watch. After over 600 episodes of this broadcast, I've seen the story years ago, like I said before, and a heartfelt moment, but it really made me sick. That My Little Fish, it made me sick. Photos of children just really make me sick. Coming up next, this cereal has 0 grams of fat. This item has this amount of grams of fat. This yeast donut has this amount of fat. Cutting down on killer fat. Stay with us. Take a look at this delicious cheese pizza. It may look good to you, but how much fat is in a cheese pizza? Well, if you Google search that question, the actual answer could be 8 grams of fat, 3.5 grams of saturated fat, 200 calories for that cheese pizza. It does look good. It tastes good, but it looks gross. Fat. Killer fat. How much of it do you eat? Tonight we're going to show you some examples of some food products like this cheese pizza and make you wonder how to save your life from fat, even animal fat. Here's Dr. Timothy Johnson.
This actually got cold, so I'm going to just stick it in the microwave just a few minutes and warm it up, okay?
It's a typical weekday night at the Benjamin household. The hectic schedules of parents Joan and Ben have resulted in a takeout dinner. Tonight, it's pizza, a favorite meal for sons Kellen and Adam. And it's a meal that would be typical in a lot of American homes.
I find Monday comes and we do kind of catch as catch can, what's in the refrigerator already, or something that's already been cooked, or something I cooked and previously had frozen, or we'll do pizza, as we did this evening, because the kids like it.
The usual daily American diet contains much of what experts worry about: salt, sugar, and fat. But evidence has confirmed that of all these,
fat ranks number 1 in terms of danger. If you're talking about sodium, sugar, and fat's got to be number 1.
Nutritionist Dr. Jean Goldberg says there is a good reason why we eat so much fat.
Fat adds satiety. It makes us feel full. And if you look at any developing nation, as soon as they become more affluent and they can buy more, their diet becomes higher in fat. So it's sad but true.
Every year, thousands of people are killed with a frying pan. Reduce your intake of high-fat fried foods and help reduce your risk.
When we eat fats, they are chemically digested in the small intestine and converted into substances like cholesterol. The chemical products of fat that are not digested pass on to the large intestine, or colon. The fats and oils in foods are divided into 2 main groups. Animal fats, which come from red meats and dairy products, are saturated fats and thought to be dangerous. Unsaturated fats are primarily found in vegetables in liquid form. These fats, poly or monounsaturated, are thought to be less dangerous, but not as safe as some advertising would have you believe. What's more, some vegetable oils like palm and coconut are highly saturated and therefore more dangerous. Obesity expert Dr. Martin Catan.
Fat is the single greatest nutritional hazard in the United States. In fact, you could take all of the herbicides and pesticides and preservatives and toxins in our food, put them in a bucket altogether, they don't even do a tiny fraction of the damage that's done by too much fat in the diet.
In fact, scientists have long agreed that fat is bad for the heart because it gets converted into cholesterol in the human body. And there have been hints that fat might be related to certain cancers. Now, 2 recent studies have convinced even skeptics that fat is related to colon or bowel cancer. Last year, the Nurses' Health Study, which looked at over 90,000 women, drew a lot of attention to the subject of fat and colon cancer.
We found that women consuming red meat as a main dish daily had about a 2.5-fold increased risk of colon cancer compared to women who infrequently ate red meat as a main dish.
The study's definition of red meat included beef, pork, and lamb. In other words, meats high in fat. The study found that the women who ate less animal fat and more chicken and fish had a much lower risk of colon or bowel cancer. In the nurses' study, about 150 women identified with diets high in saturated fat indeed developed colon cancer. 57-year-old Charlotte Nelson was one of them.
I thought, that's me. I've been active in this study, and here I'm one of them that has had colon cancer, so I really felt it was definitely me in that study.
Charlotte is lucky. Most of the other cancer victims in the study died, but her disease was caught early. After her diagnosis, Charlotte changed her daily diet of red meat to one which included lots of chicken, fish, and vegetables. She and her husband, Don, now eat low-fat meals.
Heavenly Father, bless this food to thy glory and your good. So I feel that it's really very easy to change your diet. But I believe also that the public needs to be better educated, and also there needs to be more help for us out there when we go to the grocery store, so that we do have the items available that we can have that have no fat or a much lower fat content.
If changing eating patterns to include healthier foods can improve your chances of fighting off cancer, the reverse is also true. Nearly 30 years ago, Mr. Ki Wong's family left Shanghai for America. They brought with them the tradition and values of a rich culture, but left behind a diet which protected them from the risks of heart disease and cancer. Stanford University's Dr. Alice Whittemore led the study comparing the diets of Chinese in Shanghai to that of Chinese Americans like Mr. Wong in San Francisco.
The rates for colon and rectum cancer among the Chinese Americans were 4 to 7 times higher than the rates in Shanghai.
The researchers looked at various elements of the two diets and confirmed once again that saturated fat was the primary disease-causing factor.
We did an analysis in which we looked at all the different components of the diet, whether it was from protein, whether it was from fats, saturated and unsaturated, and whether it was from carbohydrate. And we found when we did that analysis that only the saturated fat was important in these particular data.
Last year in this country alone, there were 155,000 new cases of colon cancer, 60,000 deaths. Scientists say that many of those cases could be prevented by simply lowering the fat in our diet. But for many of us, that's easier said than done. Boston businessman Ben Benjamin struggles every day.
I'll go to one of the stores in the building that I work in, and I'm not going to find fruit. I'm going to find cookies, cakes, and gum and candy. And
scientists now often recommend counting fat grams. For women, no more than 40 grams of total fat a day, and for men, no more than 60. But even health-conscious consumers have a hard time figuring out those numbers.
I guess if I had a measure of some kind, I could sort of quantify what a gram looks like to me and say 20 of them looks like a whole lot of grams. I mean, it's kind of, it's just hard to know, and I think it's confusing for people.
Dr. Martin Catan is author of several best-selling books on diets. One of them, The T-Factor Diet, has given millions a practical way to begin the process of reducing fat intake. Dr. Catan says it's all a matter of educated substitution.
For example, this croissant has 15 grams of fat. One piece of bread with 15 grams of fat. And if they just chose this bagel, the bagel, half a gram of fat. There's 30 times more fat in the croissant than there is in the bagel.
The Benjamins might be surprised to know that just one slice of that cheese pizza is 10 grams of fat, 1/4 the total daily recommendation for women. And Joan's quick investigation of the refrigerator's contents also yielded a big surprise.
This has a lot of fat in it. This has 20 grams of fat in the beef pot pie.
And that's 1/3 the total daily fat recommended for men, or 1/2 the fat recommended for women.
This for the quick night. This is for me. The kids and husband they do not like these, and they they don't say what the fat content is.
But even when they do tell you the fat content, you have to be careful. For example, in the cereal section, what could be more healthy than Supernatural granola? Except when you read the label, it has 5 grams of fat per serving. On the other hand, cornflakes have no fat in them, and even Frosted Flakes with a lot of sugar has no fat. You can even count fat grams today in an ice cream parlor by looking at labels or asking. For example, this half cup of no-fat yogurt contains no fat. If you go to low-fat yogurt, the same amount will contain about 3 grams of fat. If you jump to premium ice cream, it's going to contain 12 grams of fat. However, people can get into real trouble when they're buying unlabeled food, as at a deli counter. For example, a half a cup of German potato salad is 3 to 4 grams, whereas the same amount of 3 bean salad in oil can be 11 to 12 grams of fat. Finally, this warning about cholesterol-free advertising. Often the product didn't contain cholesterol in the first place, but it can still be loaded with fat. This yeast donut, for example, has 14 grams of fat.
We did about 205 dinners last night.
Randy Rayburn says he's proof that counting fat grams can make a difference. Rayburn, a chef and restaurant owner, has lost 25 pounds by counting.
I was consuming somewhere between 200 and 300 grams of fat a day. And now I average somewhere between 20 and 60. A typical day before would have been, 3 eggs over easy, stack of cakes, 2 or 3 pieces of toast, several pieces of bacon, maybe juice. At that time, I was being healthy,
Today, Rayburn's diet is mostly low-fat, a challenge because as owner of Nashville's Sunset Grill, he works around food all day.
Nice to see you again. How's everything going? Just well, thank you.
He's made it a bit easier for himself with menu items that are low in fat.
You have to understand what it is your body is consuming. You are what you eat. It's so important to know that, and only by paying attention to that, knowledge is awareness.
Right now, fat is 40% of the average American diet. But with growing evidence that both heart disease and some cancers are related to this overindulgence, making changes in the diet is no longer something to put off.
Agreed. Now the question is, can we live without fat? No, we have to have some fat, but we can live without animal fat. For instance, if you know what you're doing, you can live without animal fat. If you like the taste, you definitely want to go for that. But speaking of fat, coming up soon, we're going to show you a new method to melt down the fat. It is a tool basically used to really melt down the fat. If you had liposuction before, this is a story for you. We'll have that for you soon. And then we'll also show you Fat Camp for the kids. Obesity is just number one, like we showed you. Like I showed you from How to Get Fat, that really trying for Peter Jennings. And speaking of this, just almost 10 years ago, I actually showed this to my health class. To my old health teacher. We actually watched this when we were talking about, we went in health class, we were talking about obesity. This was a great example. It was also the chew and spit disorder. But,
Now, in counting fat grams on a package, that does mean per serving.
Yes, all the ingredients in the label are per serving, so you've got to know the size of the serving, and some of them can be pretty small, obviously.
Yeah, I would imagine. Can we live without fat?
No, we have to have some fat, but we can live without animal fat, like strict vegetarians do. If you know what you're doing, you can live without animal fat.
Right. Now, there's talk about, there's on the market, there are fat substitutes. Are these viable?
Well, if you like the taste, that's the way to go, because you do avoid the fat, or at least it's very low amounts of fat. However, they can be high in calories, so you still have to count calories.
Right, but you avoid the animal fat that way. Now, what about a possible link between fat and breast cancer? We've heard about that.
I think the only honest answer today is that's uncertain. People are looking at it. There are some studies underway, but unlike the link with colon cancer, which I think now is certain, it's not that way with breast cancer.
Very, very good. Thank you, Tim.
That's a good story to talk about. Just remember, you can live without animal fat, but babies need some fat in their brain. I'm going to play you a clip from Dr. Phil episode when we come back. Stay with us. We're talking about killer fat. Now, here's a clip from Dr. Phil back in 2009 as the top 3 mistakes you're making your child obese. We also talked about how you can't live without animal fat. You can't live without fat. You need some fat. Even babies need the fat. Listen to Dr. Jim Sears.
Take a look at this. This baby recently made headlines when he was born weighing in at 19 pounds, the biggest ever in the country of Indonesia. Now that's a regular sized baby next to him. Does an overweight, large baby at birth predict problems as a toddler and as they grow up?
You know, babies need to be fat. So the baby fat is good for the brain development. This is a little extreme. Too much is not good. It sets the baby up to early heart disease, early diabetes, early asthma even, and early cancers.
That's good. So, again, babies need that fat for the brain. And coming up soon, when we still talk about obese, we're going to talk about the mistakes that your child is making. So, let's actually go back. So let's go to one of the mistakes that you're making, that your child that the child is making when it comes to obesity.
Taste and the environment.
Shaping taste and environment.
That's exactly what you're talking about. Kids aren't born with a preference for French fries and Twinkies. They have to learn that. And if they learn that, they can learn something else.
That's one of the mistakes. Here's the second mistake. Let's see if I can find it. Actually,
and so
I can't find it. I just show you one of the mistakes. But if you want to learn more about those mistakes that you're making,
early heart disease, early diabetes.
If you want to learn more about those mistakes, put the link in the description below. So now we know what's going on. I'll have the final story of our final story as well as our viral break video when we come back. Stay with us. Can you imagine as a student asking for an answer to a test and they tell you no? It'd be like this. Hey, can you give me the answers to the test? No! And then it's like, do you want to beat you up? No. Give me the answers. No. Okay then. Boom, 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 boom. They all battered and bruised, and the parents all like, what the hell is going on? It's exactly what happened just hours ago as a student got beat up, all because he would not give out the answers. Seriously? After over 600 episodes, this is the reason? You call the news?
Beat the test, so instead they allegedly beat their classmate. That's what parents of a local high school student say happened last week when he wouldn't share answers to a school assignment.
Local 12's Luke Jones shares what school leaders and police are saying about the suspect's alleged gang ties.
Details of a March 15th attack inside Schroeder High School are coming into focus tonight. A 9th grade boy beaten unconscious in a school hallway by fellow students.
This is completely unacceptable.
The victim's family recounting the story to Cincinnati school board members at Monday's meeting.
I'm here to talk to you today because, quite frankly, I am appalled. My heart is broken.
Now you're probably asking yourself, what had these kids so worked up that they'd attack one of their own classmates? Well, his parents say the answer is simple. They say he refused to share the answers on a biology assignment.
Over a biology assignment. A biology assignment.
The boy had transferred into Schroeder just a week earlier, and now his parents say word around campus is that the kids who attacked him are part of a neighborhood gang.
5 gang members beat this new student till he was unconscious and had to be taken to the hospital in an ambulance.
We asked Cincinnati police about possible gang connections, but they didn't respond to multiple requests for comment. CPS confirms one student has been arrested and warrants have been issued for others. They also say multiple students have been suspended or expelled.
Have you investigated whether or not you had students in school who should not have been in the school building?
The district says it's reviewing safety and security protocols that include monitoring all traffic flows during class transitions. They go on to say, violence of any kind against our students is unacceptable. In Madisonville, Luke Jones, Local 12 News.
Common sense alert. No cheating. That's the thing. If someone tells you no, no means no. It's like asking James Bond it's like James Bond asking women for sex. Now, time for some unfinished business. No, James. Yes, you are going to have sex with me. No, James. Yes. No. 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 Yes. Okay, I will. Okay, I will. See that? 50 no's on a yes means yes. But no means no. Do you get that? No means no. If you understand what no means no. We'll be right back with a final break. Stay with us. Can you imagine seeing a little kid beating up a big fat guy like Santa Claus? It's actually unplayable. This is back in December 2021 with over 50,000 views. Take a look. I guess that's one way to work out your anger. Anger management tell you, if you ever get angry, find a favorable Santa Claus, have your parents build it, and beat the shit out of that favorable Santa Claus. Okay, Santa. This one got over 208,000 views. Over 200,000 views. It's a kid punching Santa Claus. Now on to another viral video. This is one I originally uploaded, but it was deleted after I got it because it was offline. But this is what I just uploaded 2 minutes ago during the break. It is actually really funny. Can you ever imagine in your school somebody took a shit in the sink and yet the principal gets mad? Take a look at this. And I'm going to lead afterwards.
Just so we're clear, when people don't shit in the toilet in the school, I'm going to pick up the shit. Because I'm not going to ask the custodians in this building to pick up crap when it's left anywhere else but in there.
And that would have been great. Hey, Johnny, what? Pick up my poop. Okay. And then he goes to the boss and is like, what happened? Some student made me pick up poop. Take a look.
When they clean up the floor around the toilet, that's appropriate. When they pick up paper around the garbage can, that's appropriate. When we leave water underneath our tables in the I don't care, auxiliary gym or calf, that's appropriate. But if anyone in here thinks that that's funny, and this is the type of school you want to go to, then laugh about it, tweet about it, put it on Facebook, and let everybody in the building know that that's the type of school you go to. Because it's not. This is a building where we disagree, we talk about things, and we try to support one another. I'm not saying that everyone has to be happy with me all the time. And by the way, I'm not yelling at you. I'm not yelling at you as individuals. But I want you to know that the only way that stuff like this stops is if somebody out here finds out how it happens and says, dude, knock it off. I know for a fact that when Mr. Ryan finds out, you're going to be suspended for 2 weeks. I know for a fact that when Mr. Ryan finds out and you're planning on going to college, your college is going to find out. I know for a fact that if you're a senior, you might as well forget every single privilege that remains with you. You guys, and I invited you in because I know each one of you personally on some level. I need you to get that message out. It's not appropriate. This does not say who we are. And if the juveniles among us, listen, I want someone to just give me the finger. Give me the finger. If you're that angry, give me the finger. Leave a note on my desk. Egg my car. Don't disrespect the school building like this. This is the second time, and only the second time. It's the third time it's happened as far as I know. It's the second time that I've gotten to the custodians, but before someone else has cleaned up. But if you want your principal to be picking this up in this building, then you know what? Laugh about it. Or if you want to go to Westmore Central, Central, where people respect one another, and we're in a civil society. At the very least, people make it. Reporter John? I know it's the automatic over there, I got it. So anyway, I apologize for bringing you in here, but you need to know what's going to happen every time this is left behind. I'm picking it up. No one else is going to pick it up. So I asked someone to figure it out, decide how you're going to leave in this building, and leave a note for somebody if you know who it is, or just get the message, dude, knock it off. And if it happens again, and you did find out, then leave us the note if it happens again. But it needs to stop. Are we clear? Again, I apologize for interrupting your learning for 5 minutes. You can carry on the class. You can let everybody know. You can let your teacher know.
Now, I want to point this out. I did not film this. This was done by another YouTuber from a different channel who filmed it at his school after somebody took a crap in the sink. It's like one of those movies you find crap in the sink. Like one of those movies where the ladies start taking a crap in the sink because the toilets are full. Just like my little committee, like you leaving it for the custodians to pick up. This ain't a joke. Custodians are more like building superintendents than janitors. And you're gonna leave Dookie for the janitor to come pick up without masks or gloves? I mean, he's gonna have a bad day because he had to clean up somebody else's shit. This ain't like the South Park episode where Stan took a dump in the urinal. This is different. This guy someone took a crap in the sink Because if I took a crap in the sink, I'd clean it up. Nobody else would. I would not ask, hey, pick up my poop. And then have somebody gag while doing it. Like, you get the picture here. But common sense would tell us, don't ever do it. Now that I've shown this to you, this will be deleted right away because the owner of the video who found out is going to find out about this and find out that I uploaded it. He may come after me. But if he's out there, I'm letting him know right now, the video is now deleted. There. The video is now deleted. So you don't have to email me going all this. I just want to show this for entertainment purposes for Viral Break. By the way, if you have a viral video you'd like to share, or you want to send in some funny shit if you're doing something funny, send it to me. And you may be on my next Viral Break when it goes viral on YouTube. It has to be worth 1 million views or more, or 10,000 or over 100,000. It has to be 100,000 or 1 million views. It has to be 1 million views or more in order for it to be viral. It can be anything, or it can be an old video from ages ago. Send it in, and maybe then you could be on it. You could be on the next Viral Break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Coming up on Give Me a Break Throwback Thursday. Zero tolerance policies in our schools just make 0 sense. A flowback to why zero tolerance policies in our schools just don't make sense when it comes to disciplining our kids. Here is a sneak preview of one of those things you'll see on the GMB YouTube channel. Actually, I'm not going to show you that. Just like these clips right here. School to Prison Pipeline. This was done over almost 10 years ago. I may show you this. I have an opinion from Fox 5 Atlanta. And we show you this. So, look for all that on tomorrow on Throwback Thursday, which will be on the GMB YouTube channel. That's Give Me a Break for this Wednesday going to Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow morning or tomorrow night for Give Me a Break Throwback Thursday on the GMB YouTube channel. And for everyone here at YouTube, your body, your choice, and stop bullying, speak up. Also, coming up on Friday, the story of a smart gun. Would it be used to prevent gun violence? Also, a look at acetaminophen products mixed with alcohol. Very dangerous. For everyone here at YouTube, also charities. Goodbye, everyone.